Hello to everyone tuning in to the Semel Healthy Campus Initiative Center at UCLA's celebration Bruins Together. We thank you for joining us and wish you well wherever you may be. The Semel HCI Center at UCLA acknowledges our presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples. And now it is my honor to introduce an individual at the core of UCLA's and Semel HCI's heart and spirit, Chancellor Jean Block.
Thank you, Wendy, and hello to everyone tuning in. I'm delighted to welcome you to the Semel's Healthy Campus Initiative Center's 2021 virtual celebration, Bruins Together. This annual event is our chance to celebrate the accomplishments of the Semel HCI Center and to honor those who have done extraordinary work to ensure the health and well-being for all. I want to congratulate each of our honorees today. Thank you for your vital efforts. 10 years ago, HCI founders and visionaries Jane and Terry Semel came up with an initiative to promote well-being at UCLA and eventually encourage other universities to invest in this area. Their vision and support laid the groundwork for where we are today. As we've grappled with the physical, mental, and emotional effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, continued racial injustices, health inequities, and natural disasters, I am proud that the Semel HCI Center has been able to continue supporting the well-being of the Bruin community. This year, in collaboration with the Community Programs Office and others on campus, the center has played a key role in addressing basic needs on the UCLA campus, especially food insecurity. The center has provided financial support, virtual cooking classes, fresh produce, meals for frontline hospital workers, and so much more. The center's reach also extends well beyond the campus community. It has helped children, families, and veterans through innovative partnerships with the Los Angeles Unified School District, Venice Family Clinic, and the West Los Angeles VA. And as the pandemic brought to light major health equity issues, the center elevated conversations around racial and social injustice as it relates to health and well-being. The center's summit, seminar series, projects, podcasts, and the involvement in our campus's COVID-19 Response and Recovery Task Force have all contributed to a more equitable and inclusive society. Now I have the pleasure of introducing an HCI visionary, Jane Semel. She and her husband Terry had the foresight and dedication to help UCLA build this initiative into a movement. I'm so indebted to Jane for continuing to take such an active role in the mission of HCI. Please welcome Jane Semel.
Thank you, Chancellor Block. Lonely and empty would be the way I would describe myself during the pandemic. Fortunately, my daughter visited me last night and gave me a hug, which is the first time during the whole time. And it was just what I needed. I melted. Anyway, HCI have provided us with the tools to help us through this pandemic. And I want to thank Gwendolyn and her cohorts for all their hard work. And another thank you to my garden that has nurtured me during these months. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mrs. Semel. On behalf of everyone at Resonance a Capella, I would like to express a whole lot of gratitude for inviting us to perform once again at the annual Semel HCI celebration. Having performed at the past 6 celebrations, we enjoy finding new and innovative approaches to sharing our music with you all. This year, we are proud to bring you a new virtual performance that actually won first at the West semifinals of the International Championship of Collegiate a Cappella, or ICCA for short. This is Good Thing Self-Care, originally performed by Zed featuring Kaylani and Louis the Child featuring Coin. We hope you enjoy.
I book myself tables at all the best restaurants, they need a loan. I buy myself fast cars just so I could drive them all real slow. I like my own company, I don't need it. Oh, I'm not always cold, I'm just good on my own, so good on my own. I already got a good thing with me. Yeah, I already got everything I need. The best things in life are already mine. Don't tell me that you got a good thing for me, 'cause I already got a good thing with me. Yeah, I already done everything I dreamed. I'm good by myself, don't need no one else. Don't tell me that you got a good thing for me. I do it for myself. I'm dancing for no one else. I do it for myself, baby. I make myself up just to dance in the mirror when I'm at home. I pose and take pictures, then send them to people that I don't know. I like getting compliments, compliments how I'm feeling. I'm not always selfish, just bad at romance. It's not in my bones. Good thing with me. I already got everything I need. The best things in life are already mine. Don't tell me that you got a good thing for me, 'cause I already got a good thing with me. I've already done everything I dreamed. I'm good by myself, don't need no one else. Got a good thing for me. I never felt so proud. I'm walking upside down. Through talking televisions, the swim into superstitions, and slowly submitting to the sound. I don't wanna be the one to look that way. I don't wanna be the one to help you figure it out. And I find myself acting up, so tell me, is it a crime? You can't find myself in me. Don't tell me that you got a good thing for me, 'cause I already got a good thing with me. I'm good by myself, don't need no one else. Don't tell me that you got a good thing for me, 'cause I already got a good thing with me. I do it for myself. Don't tell me that you got a good thing for me. I do it for myself, 'cause I already got a good thing with me. I do it for myself, baby. I do it for myself.
We hope you're enjoying this year's Semel HCI virtual celebration Bruins Together. Our next event is a panel discussion that will focus on answering the questions of how our community can foster health and well-being while building empathy, reducing health inequities, and catalyzing acts of social justice at UCLA and beyond. I'm excited to introduce our moderator for today's panel, Dr. Nicole Green. Dr. Green is the Executive Director of Counseling and Psychological Services at UCLA, co-leader of the Semel HCI Mindwell Pod, and an extraordinary leader in building a more socially just community. Welcome.
Welcome, and thank you, Wendy. Welcome again to the Semel HCI 2021 virtual celebration Bruins Together. I'm excited to be part of the Health Equity and Social Justice panel that we have for you today. Health equity and social justice have been at the forefront of our minds this year. This panel responds to the culmination of a difficult year, highlighting both longstanding issues with regard to racism and health equity issues for folks of color, particularly Black and Brown communities. It is clear that you can't address inequities in health without addressing systemic racism and oppression within a number of institutions, including health. This panel will highlight how to make meaning of this moment and our next steps as we move forward to address health equity. I'm excited to introduce our panelists and have an exciting and informative discussion. Our first panelist is Miranda Kim, UCLA undergraduate student. Miranda is a double major senior at UCLA. She currently serves as the Assistant Commissioner of the Student Wellness Commission, which is responsible for over 150 health-related programs and community service events at UCLA. Jessica Arzola is a UCLA graduate student. Jessica is a second-year Master's of Public Health graduate student at the UCLA Fielding School of Public Health and one of this year's Global Food Initiative Fellows for the UC Office of the President. She also serves as a registered nurse at UCLA Health. Dr. Michael Rodriguez is UCLA faculty. Dr. Rodriguez is a professor and distinguished leader in the UCLA School of Medicine and Public Health. He's a global scholar in health equity nationally and internationally, and has a long and courageous career in addressing health equity issues. Meta Sandiford Artest is a former NBA world champion and one of the premier NBA defenders of his era. Meta is a long-time vocal advocate for mental health through telling his story and delivering his message in a deeply honest and open way. Through his own journey, Meta has inspired others struggling with their own mental health issues while contributing to the destigmatizing mental health in the world of sports and beyond. I'm excited to facilitate this panel and look forward to the discussion. So I'm first going to start with this question to everyone, and I'll call on you individually to answer the question. How do you understand the relationship between social justice and health from where you sit? I'm going to start with Miranda Kim, our undergraduate student.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole Green. So I'm going to define good health as a condition of optimal well-being. With a definition like that, virtually anything we experience in life can contribute to our health. We're not just a bag of bones. We have souls, we have a personhood, and with that truth, I believe that science is just beginning to investigate the significance of measuring health on a more holistic scale. For example, mental health has become such an important topic in the public sphere. So we are these complex beings, and when we talk about health from this holistic vantage point, we must consider the impacts of the social cultural landscape. Personal experiences also influence our perceived place in this world, and I believe every person deserves a place at the table, deserves to be treated with dignity. So I'm very glad that we're diving into this very important discussion today, because we do have the ability to make a positive impact and influence lasting change. Because social justice is inextricably linked with our definitions of morality, equity, and everything that flows downstream from our values.
Thank you. I think I'll ask next Michael to define where you sit, the relationship between health equity and social justice.
Thank you, Nicole. Social justice is the view that everyone deserves equal rights and opportunities, including the right to good health. COVID-19 has resulted in 3.3 million deaths globally and close to 600,000 deaths in the US, most harshly impacting low-income groups that have historically experienced inequities in health that are avoidable, unnecessary, and unjust. These inequities are the result of policies and practices that create an unequal distribution of money, power, and resources among communities based on country of origin, race, class, gender, and other factors. As was said, social justice is central to health, and we need to communicate this important fact for all to understand that the inequitable health outcomes that we see are not just unfortunate facts of life. That hate, stigma, racism, discrimination, conscious and unconscious bias, as well as microaggressions have played and continue to play a sad role in contributing to poor health outcomes for racial and ethnic minority populations. Translating what we know into action to promote social justice at the local, national, and international level results in better health for all populations.
Thank you. Jessica, you are our resident scholar practitioner here. Given what Michael's just shared, what is your understanding of the relationship between social justice and health equity?
No pressure to follow such an expert. I think there's always been a relationship between health and social justice, and to deny that there's a relationship is a disservice to countless of citizens and non-citizens across the country. As a daughter in an immigrant family in a Latino household, you sense that these inequities exist, and you never know how to define it until you're a student and you learn about it in an academic setting. But then also, I have a unique position as a nurse in the hospital, where I see these patients down the funnel, and I see them at this kind of acute phase of their illness. I also think that taking those two experiences as a student and a nurse has been very interesting throughout the pandemic, because now more than ever, those inequities are illustrated for the public. Now the public can kind of see it themselves, what we've been trying to kind of tell others. And there's a lot of attention to it, which is a great thing. But now that we have that attention, it's a matter of, okay, great, what do we do next?
Thank you. And Meta, I know you've been all over the world and you specifically focused on mental health. And I'm curious what your thoughts are about the relationship between health inequity and social justice from where you sit.
Obviously, health is wealth. I was lucky enough to receive the therapy when I was 13 years old. My mom put me into a social worker, to go see a social worker. I was 13, so I was introduced at an early age, and I seen a lot of my friends that they're just trying to figure it out on their own. In the schools, sometimes the schools, it just wasn't sensitive to where we're from. So traveling to school every day, from one environment to an environment that's trying to prepare us for the world, often kind of prepared us, and I didn't realize this, but it did often prepare you for, another route. I do believe that in schools at an early age, we should have parenting class. I think we should have partnership class. When you look at the foundation of a family, most people that are doing well, I don't know the stats, but have a good family structure. So that would eliminate a ton right there, I believe. Parenting, partnerships, you're gonna be older one day, you're gonna get older, you're gonna have a partner, you're gonna have babies, relationships. How do you handle adversity? Don't just get up and leave and you argue and fight. Like, how do you handle it? Because we learn so many other things. And then when you look at our entertainment industry, we push so much bad music on the radio, but we also have to abide by corporate standards. But corporate standards often get sponsorship from the same sponsors that sponsor bad music. So what's the message here? What are we doing?
Yeah, it sounds like you're bringing up a lot of things that the inequities start very young and they're pretty persistent. I'm also hearing you say like the industries have such an influence, which then has an influence on our individual mental health. So the structural or societal racism issues end up showing up in our individual health in a lot of ways.
When you're a young kid and you learn, it's good, you're going to absorb it. You can learn how to do Tetris at a young age. You can learn how to become a computer scientist at the age of 10.
Absolutely.
Right, and you can also learn bad habits.
I'm hearing a lot of themes around, an individual lens and then seeing things from very different perspectives, whether it's corporate or, as Jessica mentioned, being able to put language to things that she saw growing up, but really couldn't name before. And then, Michael's reference to, then the data really bears out that there are systemic inequities that we can feel, but we just don't know how to name or how pervasive they are. So just expanding on that, Michael, I'm wondering if you could share for our audience who really doesn't understand this relationship between health inequity and social justice, what are the three most important things that we should know, particularly in this time of COVID, about that relationship and about what you know, so that we have some grounded facts?
What I was just hearing Meta talk about and Jessica just underscores the importance of a lived experience. As a child of immigrants from Mexico and El Salvador, the first person in my family to graduate from high school, I should say, you learn things and have a particular lens that helps give you insights that many other people don't have. And that also makes, for me, health equity a personal issue. It means that everyone has a fair and just opportunity to live the healthiest life possible, no matter who we are, where we live, or how much money we make. Health equity requires removing barriers to health. These barriers include poverty, discrimination, and the consequences of those two issues, including the need to dismantle historically unjust systems that we live around and in that have perpetuated worse health outcomes through laws or policies that unequally distribute access to good jobs, good schools, safe, affordable, good homes, and quality health care. Indeed, the key thing is health equity eliminates the many health gaps that have been large, persistent, and increasing between communities. And when we do that, it leads to benefits for all. That includes longer lives, lower health care costs, better quality of life, and a stronger economy.
Thank you. That sounds like a great world to live in, and I know we're not quite there yet by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to switch back to Jessica. I'm wondering if you could talk about, specifically in this COVID era, given your role as both a student and a nurse, what's been the most rewarding thing that you've really experienced this year toward health equity, and what's been the most challenging as you do this work?
I've been a nurse for almost 6 years now, and I will say healthcare is very different from when I entered 6 years ago to now. But with that being said, that difference is a great thing because it shows how much change can happen within those very short 6 years and what can happen 6 years down the road from now. I think all across the country, we've seen such an increase in community capacity building. And this may be because of influential people like Meta and, Dr. Rodriguez speaking to these issues. It could be social media, it could be the news, it could be that we are finally kind of entering this space and joining this conversation, but you see communities across the country standing up for what they believe in, questioning systems that are long in place, questioning historical patterns that just aren't fair, aren't equitable, or incorrect. And you're just seeing this capacity grow and grow. Even in the hospital, I feel like my patients are more empowered to speak for themselves, or being invited to join in medical rounds and decision-making, or following along with their care in a transparent manner with the use of e-care and being able to follow along with all these updated electronic systems. So it's been great. And I think that's been the most rewarding. I would say the most challenging is kind of confronting the roots of all of this. And I think, Meta, I definitely related to what you were saying. It's society and like the structural racism, the structural classism that we are socialized into through our childhood, through generations, through family, through others, through our neighborhoods. We're socialized, and some of those socializations aren't the best. So sometimes when I encounter kind of bits of classism or bits of assumptions that are made of other groups that are deeply rooted in social inequities, I think to myself, wow, that's a deep root we have to pull and we have to dismantle. It's going to take time. It's going to take years, and it's getting there. But I think the impatient person in me wants to dismantle those roots now because health equity is such an important issue. So most challenging, but also not too bad considering that there's improvement happening.
Thank you. Miranda, you're a current undergrad student and have been committed to this work for the last few years in your undergraduate career. And I'm curious about what, especially as a younger person and future leader, what keeps you in the movement toward health equity, and how do you get your peers, your generation, to engage and to stay committed to the work so that we can make change? What are your thoughts about that?
That's a really good question. I like to say that I didn't necessarily find my work, but my work found me. I believe that God really opened so many doors throughout my life, and a lot of people have invested in me and given me these opportunities. So I'm very grateful for that, first of all. And I think the thing that brings me to my work and keeps me motivated every day is kind of what Dr. Rodriguez was talking about, how the pursuit of health equity is also a very personal journey. And it's very personal and it requires a lot of patience, as Jessica mentioned. So I think realizing that, each day is an opportunity to be a light in the world and be a good steward of these opportunities is what keeps me going and helps me kind of stay grounded in knowing that, change may not be as quick as we wish it was. Things may not happen as soon or as impactfully as we desire, but little by little change can happen. And I think Jessica's explanation of that just in the healthcare setting is one great example of that. So I think, especially as a student leader, it is really challenging because it feels like a huge responsibility, and I definitely want to do the best with it. And I think some of it just comes down to what type of influence can I make in my personal life? How do I emulate these values in a way that inspires others to do the same? And I think kind of this grassroots sort of movement is the best way to go about it, because by influencing others, you kind of inspire them to also go out into their spheres of influence and be a positive impact in the people in their lives. So I think, sometimes we're so focused on this behavioral modification. We're really busy trying to look good or do the right things in works, accomplishments, or just spreading awareness on social media. And I think all of those things are not bad per se, but it would be even better if we took a step back and did some introspection and made sure that our work is not just short-lived, but it's long-lasting, and that we can spark change by being that change that we wish to see in the world. And so just to reiterate, I think that requires a lot of patience, diligence, groundedness, so we don't burn out or lose sight of hope. And I think just having a posture of selflessness, especially inspiring that in younger people in this new generation, will help to uplift others and have a lasting benefit to the society here at UCLA and, of course, beyond.
Thank you. That's such an uplifting message. And related to the question I want to ask Meta, I've followed your career, particularly as you've talked a lot about mental health. And what's been inspiring is how willing you've been to tell the truth about your own experience, which isn't that easy to do. I mean, you've talked a lot about struggles and vulnerabilities and just a lot of difficult things in your life. I'm curious about what made you want to tell the truth in that way, and how what impacts you've seen that it's had on your fans and on your industry, the sports industry.
Good question. Yeah, I think one of the things that impacted me was, one of my parents, they were very tough, although we had different issues in our household, but they were very tough. And I was never ashamed, especially as a child, people tease you, make fun of you with different things. And I kind of grew kind of immune to that. So not really being ashamed and being confident and feeling like, I'm somebody, and I was instilled in me early. So from my perspective, my friends are not they would be considered bad people, and so with that being said, the love I have for them, because we grew up in this same jungle together, I just chose to continue to play basketball and stay focused. I feel like we had no place, in this corporate world. As a child, when you're growing up and you're influenced by so much, right? So you're influenced by anything from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, to TV shows. And sometimes you want to be that, but the problem is your personality and your character is different, right? So, and I got tired of having to always, wear a suit and tie and do things I wasn't comfortable doing, just to please other people. And then also I have to do that, and it takes me away from where I'm from and what I've actually been through. Mm-hmm. And I always felt like y'all must know what's happening right where I'm from. And so when I got on the big stage, I think I probably overdid it a little bit, but I was very vulnerable and open with my personality. You saw me wear my heart and my emotions on my sleeve. People, they knew how I was feeling that day, you know, just being 2 years removed from, you know, I would say 10 years of uncertainty in our neighborhood. They just don't leave you that quick. And then you also become scarred. You become wounded. And now you have a chance to really just set your life different. This is me in my perspective. You know, you got a chance to do amazing things, but you still feel wounded. So the amazing things is not important anymore. And that's a bad feeling to have. So I said, you know what? When I got older, I said, I'm just gonna start telling people my journey, telling people about my journey, hoping that it could resonate with someone. And do it fearlessly. And when I was coming out and talking, you know, when you talk about mental health, it was always like frowned upon, and it had a stigma attached. You know, if you say you need help, then you're crazy. But I didn't really care. You know, I'm just like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. When you help yourself, is incredible. So don't listen to anyone. You know, when you're trying to help yourself, how bad is that? You know, when you're telling people you need help, like some people don't ask for help, right? So I was like, you know what? Especially with people, you know, growing up on Medicaid or Medicare and hard to get out the system. Maybe they don't know how to ask the right questions. Like be fearless, you know, with asking questions, with trying to survive and different things like that. So that's something that just pushed me, you know, when you take all that into consideration.
Right. Thank you. I mean, so inspirational to think about. I want to live my most truest, authentic self and tell the truth and hope that people accept me. And I hope that it can help me accept myself. I mean, that's such a powerful, powerful message when we think about what Michael said about health equity being the true belief that everybody has the right to a fair and just experience with regard to their health. And I think that that's a living experience of it. So I want to thank you for sharing that. Just in the last few minutes, I think I just want to go around and ask each of you, what next? What next in the movement for yourself, and what do you encourage others to think about? So I think I'll start with Michael. What next? What do you do next, and what do we do next?
My plan is to take the inspiration that I've received from this panel, from listening to Meta, his show Demonstrate His Courage, listening to Jessica, to Miranda, you know, to work hard with community in solidarity for global movements for health equity. You know, while COVID-19 has upended life, especially for historically marginalized communities, it's also true that much in the US and the world needs upending, particularly the ongoing structural racism that we've been commenting on. Rebuilding after COVID-19 must go beyond reconstructing as we lay the foundation for a better future, using an equity lens to replace the structures of racism with those which support justice and health. It's not enough to be a hospital that can provide world-class care. We must actively help people receive that care. It's not enough to have jobs available. We must train people from communities with the highest needs for those jobs. And it's not enough to develop or have life-saving vaccines. We must ensure that those vaccines get to the people wherever they are. You know, as we move forward, I feel that it's so important for us to focus attention on those with the greatest needs who face persistent barriers to health, that we learn more. Lots of national, state, and local organizations are committed to promoting health equity, whether they be the federal government's Office of Health Equity, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, or the American Public Health Association. We need to learn and advocate for policy changes. Take, for example, President Biden's bold infrastructure and American families plans to strengthen communities and enable people of all backgrounds to strive. We should raise awareness, contact our members of governments, and vote, as well as contribute, use our talents, time, and gifts. A friend of mine who is also a mentor recently shared how she's tutoring and mentoring students in Riverdale, California. It's a community of 3,153 people near Fresno. As a result of that work, 20 students were accepted to University of California schools this past year. It's awesome. While all this good stuff is happening, I think it's so important for us to be humble and connect. Connect with those who we seek to help so we can establish and maintain real relationships with community members. In that way, we can better appreciate their strengths and challenges, as well as more effectively work with them collaboratively. We need them to have a seat at the head of the table to steer our environments. I greatly appreciate being here. I thank the students on the panel, my fellow panelists, and those who are watching, as well as the Semel Healthy Campus Initiative. I send you all positive energy to persevere despite challenges and work hard in order for all our boats to rise, as well as achieve your goals and dreams. Opportunities for leadership in this movement are everywhere. Thanks.
Thank you. Miranda, what's next? You're graduating. What's next for you?
Yeah, so my future is a big question mark, as it is most of the time, which is totally okay. So generally speaking, my next steps will just be driven by some of the same principles I previously mentioned, just in whatever new context arises. So whether that be working, taking more classes, applying to grad school, I hope to just carry on this attitude of loving others as best I can, lending a listening ear, continue praying for justice, forgiveness, reconciliation. And honestly, I really hope that those who have done wrong or have harmed others will experience some sort of lasting change for the better. And I'd really love to see my generation realize our potential, take initiative, invest in the people around us, in our family, our friends, our coworkers. And I think my encouragement would just be the reminder that each of us was made for this moment. We exist for a purpose and are loved beyond comprehension. And as Meta mentioned earlier, I realized that it just doesn't matter how big your platform may be or how small it may be, because each of us is a somebody, and each person can make a difference, no matter how small. And I just wanted to close with a quote that one of my professors shared earlier this year. And he said, Micah 6:8 compels us to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. And I believe if we seek this, we will make the world just that much brighter. So I'm very grateful to be here and inspired by all of you. So thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, what's next?
Honestly, as simple as reckon and recruit. So I have to keep reckoning the system, keep asking those questions. Why is this the way it is? And I have to keep kind of guiding my colleagues in the hospital to just ask beyond those simple questions, rather than asking our patients, okay, what brought you here? Kind of saying, okay, what truly brought you here and what will you be going home to? By asking those questions in healthcare, we can pivot so much of our process outcomes and our patient health outcomes. And then recruit. We have to recruit individuals from these marginalized communities to join us in the workplace, join us in healthcare, join us in these conversations. Academia is great, but it's only as great as our office limits us physically. We have to go into those communities. That's where the real work takes place.
Thank you, very helpful. And Meta, what's next for you in this movement, particularly around mental health for you and the work you're doing?
Yes, I think what's next is continuing to try to create influence, through business, and try to create different businesses that provide social impact. And I'm focused on that through sports to start, a little bit through fashion, but not as much as through sports, bringing communities together and working on empowering local communities with learning the sports business actively and getting out there. So I feel my work is better being kind of creating voices through sports. So I'm gonna try to continue to do that and empower people. And everything I do has social impact embedded in it. So I'm going to continue on.
Very inspirational. Work with social impact is just really at the forefront of the movement. Well, I want to thank this panel. You all have been amazingly inspiring to me, and I'm sure to so many others. I've appreciated hearing all your perspectives from your different lenses on how we can create less of a disparity between social justice and health inequity, and how to create more health equity. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you to the Semel HCI virtual celebration for 2021. Thank you very much.
Hello, friends. I'm deeply honored to help celebrate the Semel Healthy Campus Initiative Center at UCLA. Looking back at the last year, we can see all we've accomplished in the face of the global pandemic and the longstanding burdens of systemic racism. Through all this, our UCLA community has shown remarkable resilience and been a clear source of inspiration. It feels like only yesterday that our campus leadership recognized the ancient but now widely embraced concept of eudaimonia to describe the sustained happiness that comes from living a life rich in purpose and meaning. Since 2017, we have recognized those who exemplify the core values of eudaimonia, including fulfillment of one's greatest potential, finding true purpose and meaning in life, investment of intensive effort in the pursuit of excellence, resilience in overcoming obstacles, and contribution to the betterment of global society. It is my pleasure to introduce Chancellor Jean Block to present the 2021 Semel HCI Eudaimonia Lifetime Achievement Award. Take it away, Jean.
This year, UCLA is honored to present the 2021 UCLA Semel Healthy Campus Initiative Center Eudaimonia Lifetime Achievement Award to Jeanie Buss. As governor and owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, Jeanie occupies a rare space as one of the few women leaders in the highest ranks of professional sports management. And she's an incredibly successful leader at that, having helped the Lakers win a national championship last year that tied them for the most titles won by any NBA team. Beyond ensuring success on the court, Jeanie cares deeply about the well-being of the Lakers and other professional athletes. She's exemplified eudaimonia, or living a life rich in purpose and meaning, by dedicating herself to advocacy, selflessness, and the public good. In particular, Jeanie was an early and committed advocate for erasing the stigma surrounding mental illness within the NBA. She has used her public platform to talk openly about these issues in an industry that has long shied away from the topic. UCLA Health is incredibly proud to partner with Jeanie and the Lakers on the team's care. We applaud Jeanie for making the Lakers a leader in mental health care within the NBA and for sharing the team's experiences and best practices with other teams and organizations that can benefit from a similar model. Additionally, following the tragic death of Lakers legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi last year, Jeanie served as an emotional anchor for her team, the league, the Bryant family, and Lakers fans during that incredibly difficult time. She also helped the team navigate the many challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. She has shown us all what it means to lead with grace and resilience in times of great difficulty. So Jeanie, on behalf of UCLA, I thank you for championing emotional well-being and taking a stand to erase the stigma of addressing mental health. You are a true leader with a passion for improving society. You're an inspiration to our campus community, to Los Angeles, and to the nation. It is my pleasure to present the 2021 UCLA Semel Healthy Campus Initiative Center Eudaimonia Lifetime Achievement Award to Jeanie Buss.
Chancellor Block, thank you so much for your kind words. I am deeply honored as I accept this award. I'm incredibly humbled to be linked with Jane and Terry Semel, whose groundbreaking work on the Healthy Campus Initiative Center will have a positive impact on our world for generations. There is no institution in California today that stands for excellence more than UCLA Health. I am so proud of the ties between it and the Lakers. And believe me, it's not easy for a proud Trojan alum like me to say that. Now, I must be honest. Before Chancellor Block reached out to me, I didn't know anything about eudaimonia. But as I've looked into it, It's actually a concept that is at the heart of everything we at the Lakers try to exemplify. Eudaimonia, as I now understand it, is all about promoting well-being, both for yourself and those around you. I know that college professors can put that concept into complex philosophical frameworks and use all sorts of impressive terms to illustrate it. But in our world, it's known by one very simple word: teamwork. No sports team can sustain success without a strong system of mutual respect and support, nor can any organization. A while back, a sports writer dismissively referred to the Lakers in one of his columns as a family business. He meant it as an insult, but I took it as the highest form of compliment because I know that family and teamwork are two sides of the same coin. My father helped to build our organization into what it has become. And today I view my role as the steward of an institution that belongs to the city of Los Angeles, and that starts by treating our colleagues as family. I have worked in professional sports for nearly 4 decades, and a tremendous amount has changed in that time. But almost no shift has been more profound than the increasing understanding of the role of mental health in athletics. And I am so proud to be a part of an organization that is passionately committed to making sure our family members are happy and healthy, both in body and in mind. As I accept this award on behalf of the Lakers, I promise that we will honor the spirit behind it by continuing to work to take care not only of ourselves, but also of those we love and the incredible city of Los Angeles in which we all live. Or, to put it another way, to try to embody the values of Eudaimonia. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jeanie. And personally, I would like to thank you for the work you have done to reduce the stigma of mental illness, a passion of mine that means a lot to me and to my husband, Terry. Congratulations on receiving the Eudaimonia Award, which is justly deserved. And thank you to the Lakers, whose teamwork has given Terry and I much pleasure over the years.
What I love about our next musical performance is that it's the story of how, in spite of losing a loved one, you can persevere and make positive life changes for yourself and community. So I want to take a moment to say out loud and recognize how difficult it has been for so many of us who have lost their loved ones, not only due to the pandemic, but from racial injustice and discrimination. I hope you find David Flores and the Cafeteras musical performance an inspiration to help in the healing process from loss.
Hey, shout out to Jeanie Bus and the Lakers. You know, when I was younger, my brothers and I, we go work with my dad. He was a carpenter, like Jesus. He had this big Mexican bigote that I still can't grow. And my dad always used to tell us, hey, mijos, get your hands out of your pocket y ponte a trabajar. My dad died at 50 years young, never able to get his legal documentation. And he was a hardworking man, a family man. He loved the Dodgers and the Lakers. My dad used to love to tell jokes. Hey, mijo, how long does it take for a Mexican to... Oh, they're done. But cirrhosis of the liver got him. It's a lifetime of alcohol, a teen drug habit. It's just a bad diet. It's like Ron Finley, the guerrilla gardener, he always says, our people are dying from the drive-through more than the drive-by. When my dad's liver went out, man, it hurt. But I can see my dad telling me, hey, mijo, get your hands out of your pocket and do something about it. So we started to take health into our own hands. And I started to realize that health and wellness is itself a radical act. I promised my dad I'd never take another drink of alcohol, no more drugs. Believe it or not, I'm on a plant-based diet. And I encourage people around me to try my brother's famous carrot hot dogs. Yeah, I said carrot hot dogs. That's why I'm extra honored that I was invited to congratulate you all, working to make UCLA the healthiest campus in the galaxy. And I also offer a challenge to not only think about UCLA, but think about those most impacted from environmental injustice, from those with a lack of access to health care, to green spaces, to quality food. It's people like my dad. And TBH, it has been communities of color that have always pushed our country to be a better version of itself. And so we are Las Cafeteras, and we offer this song to you to keep on going.
1946, there was the Mendes family that fought against segregation in schools, because before that, they treated us like fools, pushing us out to gangs, wars, and drugs. Get pissed off when we become Crips and Bloods, Pachucos, Traviesos, Hipoperas, Bomberas, Jaraneras in the street, with the bomb-ass beat talking about what's going on in my east side streets. Woo! 60s in Oakland, California, Black Panthers organized for answers. In New York, the Young Lords fought against wars. Stonewall Rebellion remained true for the rights of the LGBTQA. Down with native rights, no shame in their game. In the campus of California, it was Filipinos who first laid down the boycott, screaming in solidarity, Isang Baksa. One rise, one fall. You come for one, you come for all. You come for one, you come for all. Woo! You see, knowledge and power, health as wealth. Rise with me and let's walk with the sun. Pick up your heart, put down that gun. Kiss your mama just for fun and realize that today, yo, we be one. We be one.
I'm honored to be here virtually with an outstanding group of individuals actively making widespread positive change throughout our community during an extraordinarily challenging year. Joining me in honoring these individuals is our visionary leader, Jane Semel, who is the founder of the Semel Healthy Campus Initiative Center and launched the Jane B. Semel Appreciation and Recognition Awards 7 years ago. Our first awardee is Maria Garibay, who's an undergraduate student studying sociology with a global health minor and is the undergraduate student researcher for the Semel HCI Mindwell Pod. Maria, your positive attitude, creativity, can-do spirit, strong work ethic, eagerness to learn, and desire to make a difference are the hallmarks of your current accomplishments and will be the foundation for your future successes. Your leadership has elevated the Mindwell mission of promoting emotional well-being and resilience and benefited so many students, staff, and faculty. You did not stop there, but have led the efforts to honor other students, staff, and faculty who are living a life of meaning and purpose with the Eudaimonia Award Ceremony. Thank you for all you do for Semel HCI and our UCLA campus life.
Thank you, Jane, Wendy. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work for both of you and also the whole HCI family. The environment you foster and promote has made such a big impact in my life and my experience here at UCLA. Thank you for giving me the tools, support to work on things that I'm passionate about. I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
Our second awardee is Miranda Kim, who's also an undergraduate student, double majoring in economics and psychology with a minor in Spanish, and leads our Semel Healthy Campus Initiative undergraduate staff. She was selected for her work in advancing health equity and racial justice as a student leader for Semel HCI and the Student Wellness Commission. Miranda, you exemplify how one student can create a ripple effect to impact positive change. You provided strong and creative leadership running the Student Health Equity Summit and participating in the staff, student, and faculty wellness work expectation work group, which is part of the campus-wide COVID response and recovery task force. Your consistent guidance keeps things energized, positive, and organized for the Semel HCI undergraduate team, ensuring that they have community and success and a productive year in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for all you do for Semel HCI and our UCLA campus life.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Wendy, for your very kind words. It's such an honor to be recognized, especially amongst so many awesome individuals here. And I just wanted to say that Semel HCI has truly been one of the most formative experiences of my undergrad years, and I really look forward to carrying these experiences and perspectives I've gained here into my future endeavors. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Our third awardee is Al Ferrone, who is the Senior Director of Dining Services Administration for UCLA Housing and Hospitality Services, and was selected for his work providing healthful, delicious food for our frontline workers and food insecure members among the UCLA students, staff, and community partners during this pandemic. Al, your innovative efforts to prepare and deliver food to our Bruin community, our essential workers, the homeless veterans, and the Venice Family Clinic patients during the COVID pandemic deeply resonates with the core values of Semel HCI and the mission of the university. We are proud to have you as one of the most valuable partners and are delighted to honor you. Thank you for all you do for Semel HCI and our UCLA campus life.
Wendy, Jane, thank you very much, but for your leadership, a lot of this wouldn't happen. So I really appreciate your support. And I'll tell you, it's an honor for me to get this award. And even more of an honor is to be able to serve the campus and the community. It's never one person that does it. It's always a team. And, I'm blessed with just a fabulous group of people supporting us. And they're as excited as I am about serving the community. And you can see it in their faces and what it does. Again, thank you very much for your support in making these things happen for us.
Jessica Arzola is a second-year Master's of Public Health student at the UCLA Fielding School of Public Health and a registered nurse at UCLA Health. She was selected for her Global Food Initiative Fellowship work that helped UCLA leaders understand staff and students' knowledge, attitudes, and practices related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Jessica, your findings help to develop significant recommendations and inform policy decisions aiming to reduce health disparities and enhance social, emotional, and physical well-being at UCLA. We also are deeply grateful for everything you do as a frontline worker. Thank you for all you do for Semel HCI and our campus life.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Jane. And a huge thank you and a big shout out to Megan, my preceptor, who worked with me on this research as well. It's been so great working with HCI. I feel so lucky to have been joined in on this organization, and it's been really refreshing. As a nurse, I chose this career out of a kindness, a love for kindness, a love for humanity. And it's nice to see that same love for kindness and love for humanity resembled in HCI so deeply, especially throughout the pandemic. It's been so great, and I loved working with this team, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Last but not least, Dr. Nicole Green is the Executive Director of Counseling and Psychological Services at UCLA and the co-leader for the Semel HCI's MindWell Pod. Nicole was selected for her tireless commitment to improving health equity and racial justice. Nicole, your generosity of regularly sharing your vast knowledge about racism and health has elevated the call for racial justice and turn health equity for minoritized communities. Thank you for equipping so many of us with the tools to deal with the challenging issues and hard conversations we have faced during this past year and many years before. You are an example of how one person can make a difference, making a positive impact on many people's lives on and off campus. Thank you for what you do for Semel HCI and our campus life and our broader community.
Wendy and Jane, I just want to share a word of just thank you for your support and for your leadership in this area, and for HCI's commitment to the culture of health and well-being. I've learned so much about how to be an advocate and how to be a leader and how to be innovative in this field, particularly because of you two. I'd like to thank the committee, and for HCI in general. It's been an honor for me to have the opportunity to share my voice and my knowledge and what I know and what I care about with the community. And it's been an honor for me to serve this campus and to be a part of the HCI community. So I truly want to thank you for this honor.
I'd like to thank the entire group of changemakers, and I will now hand it over to Jane Semel, our intrepid and creative founder of Semel HCI.
I would also like to add that I want to thank you personally, Nicole, for opening my eyes to so many things. And you do it in such a kind, open way. So thank you. I would also like to congratulate all of you who have won the Appreciation and Recognition Award, and those of you who have contributed to it. I have had many ideas, but you are the ones who turned it into a reality. I appreciate your hard work and thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you do for the Semel HCI. Thank you.
Today's celebration focused on living a life of meaning and purpose and building a more just world. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of our Bruin community members for your resilience, hard work, kindness to others, and patience during this past year. You've demonstrated how the power of community can bring us together to give to others and thrive in spite of adversity. I conclude today's event by emphasizing our major takeaway, that health is not a privilege, it is everyone's right, and it's dependent on all of us rolling up our sleeves and working on health equity, social justice, and anti-racism. We hope our event helps you reflect on the significance of empathy, compassion, and dialogue as the major building blocks for a more just and equitable world where each and every one of us has the opportunity to reach optimal health so that we can all live a life of meaning and purpose. This is possible because of Chancellor Block's unwavering support of health and well-being for all Bruins, and to Jane and Terry Semel for their vision and support of the Semel HCI Center. I would also like to take a moment to thank all those who helped make tonight's celebration possible. Mark Biedlemeyer, our brilliant and tireless producer, and Megan Wang, Louise Eno, Katie Imbry, Dr. Bob Builder, and our student staff and pod leaders, as well as the countless UCLA departments and organizations that support our work every day. I'm also proud to share how Semel HCI funded student organizations and supported a cohort of 10 UC Office of the President Global Food Initiative Fellows in their efforts to further health equity. We hope we have shared cause for celebration as well as reflection as we move forward to make UCLA the healthiest campus for all our students, staff, faculty, and visitors. We welcome all of you to be part of the Semel HCI community. You can join us at our monthly pod meetings, our many events, funded student groups, research projects, or academic courses. You can listen to our Live Well podcasts. We are an incubator and promoter for all of our students, staff, and faculty to build a more equitable and healthy world. Remember, health and well-being is not a luxury. We all have to work hard to build our social, physical, and emotional well-being and make sure our neighbors and our planet are well too, in order to build a more resilient and equitable world. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'd like to welcome the amazing UCLA Marching Band to close out our event for 2021. Go for it.